ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯃꯤꯡ ꯎꯁꯝ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯧꯈꯣꯝꯕ ꯃꯤꯇꯩ ꯑꯩ ꯏꯪꯂꯤꯁꯀꯤ ꯑꯣꯖꯥꯅꯤ. Hello everyone. Today we'll be continuing chapter number 6 of class 7 English, the selfish giant. In the previous class we have learned how selfish was the giant was, and he didn't allow the children to play in his garden. Instead he built a huge wall and put a board saying trespassers will be prosecuted, meaning if anybody is found to come in his garden without his permission, then he or she will be punished by the giant. So the children were frightened, they were afraid, so they were wandering outside the wall. Then came the worst part. Spring came everywhere, in every villages, every countries, every garden, but not in the garden of the giant. So autumn came everywhere and gave delicious fruits to everyone, but not in the giant's garden. The giant's garden was still in winter season. Snow, frost, north wind, and lastly the hail nearly destroyed the giant's castle and his garden. The giant kept on desperately waiting for the spring, but it never came. Mana spring do lakadra na sungai adu spring do sungak lakide ko. But what happened? One day, all the children crept in through a hole in the wall. Wall to the hole of Malerame, hole to the Kedore, Angang sing the Tumina Changel Aga Sana Lerame. They were all playing there. So on each on every tree there was a child sitting there. Then the trees were so happy to see the children back again that they began to blossom again. They began to flower again. So after a long time, winter left the garden and spring came. But in the farthest corner of the garden, there was still winter. So there was a little boy. So let's see what happened next. So this little boy, he was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree. The little boy was very small, very short, while the tree was very tall. So he could not reach it. So he was not able to climb on the tree. And he was wandering, walking all around the tree and crying bitterly. The poor tree was still covered with frost. See, the other trees, the remaining trees were all covered with white blossoms. But this particular tree, it was covered with frost and snow. And the north wind was blowing and roaring above it. So every trees were happy, but this one was not happy. And therefore, the tree was not able to blossom. So, climb up, little boy, said the tree. The tree was bending its branches down as low as it could. Mana magi masaje ngasai kaya tausanbiraga thangdabiraga angangsida kakhaloo nupa macha kakhaloo kainaga man thangdabiye ko. But the boy was so small, so tiny that he was still not able to reach the branch. The giant's heart melted as he looked out. How selfish I have been. So he was getting emotional and said to himself, how selfish I have been. Now I know why spring would not come here. Now I understand why spring was not coming to my garden. I will put that poor little boy on the top of the tree. And then I will knock down the wall. I will break down the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever. So he was really very sorry for what he had done. So he crept downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so frightened, they were so afraid that all the children, they all ran away. And the garden was in winter again. Only the little boy did not run. The little boy standing under the tree, crying there, he was the only one who did not run. Why? Because his eyes were full of tears. His eyes were full of tears that he did not see the giant coming. So the giant stole up behind him and took him gently in his hands and put him up into the tree. The tree broke at once into blossoms. So the tree was now flowering suddenly, and birds came and sang on it, and the little boy stretched out his two arms and flung them around the giant's neck and kissed him. Mana ngasai magi yamna mabu thangat people da harau man khiduna angang na pamcha kedore mana magi arms to stretch out to sele the giant ki mangak to konsan biraga mongoda nungsina chupi ko. He kissed him. When the other children saw that the giant was not wicked anymore, he was not selfish anymore, and he was helping the little boy to climb the tree. So all the children, they came running back. And then, with the coming of the children, came the spring again. So, it's your garden now, little children, said the giant. So, he took a great axe. Achawa singjang amakak mana lowre do nga saigi. Kedore mana angang sindu kaution biraga. Mana magi wall do. He knocked them down. Mana nga saigi. He used the axe to knock down the wall, to remove the wall, to break down the wall. And when the people were going to the market at 12 o'clock, at the noon, they found the giant playing with the children. He himself was playing with the children in the most beautiful garden they had ever seen. So all day long, they played. In the evening, they went up to the giant. The children went up to the giant to bid him goodbye, to say goodbye. But the giant asked, but where is your little companion, your little partner, the boy I put up on the tree? So where is he? The giant asked. So the giant loved him the most because he had kissed him. That is why the giant loved the little boy much more than the others. So we don't know, answered the children. He has gone away. You must tell him to be sure to come tomorrow, said the giant. But the children said that they did not know where he lived, where he came from, who he was, and had never seen him before. So they were also seeing the little boy for the first time. The giant felt very sad. Every afternoon, when the school was over, the children came and played with the giant. But the little boy whom the giant loved was not seen again. He never came back. The giant was very kind to all the children, yet he longed for his first little friend. He was missing him. He was missing the little boy whom he had helped to climb up the tree. Years went by, so time passed, years went by, and the giant grew very old and feeble. He could not play about with anyone, so he sat in a huge armchair. So in a very huge armchair, he was watching the children playing the games because she was so weak, he was so old that he was not able to play with them. So he watched the children at their games and admired his garden. The giant was totally changed. He got himself turned into a sweet person who loved children very much. So he was no more a selfish one. So he said to himself, I have many beautiful flowers, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all. One winter morning, he looked out of his window as he was dressing. Mana dress sechan na mana nomadi winter morning amada mana window the yeng to eko. What did he see? Suddenly he rubbed his eyes in wonder. He could not believe what he was seeing. So he kept on looking and looking. It was certainly a marvelous sight, a very, very beautiful view. In the farthest corner of the garden was a tree, quite covered with lovely white blossoms, lovely white flowers. Its branches were golden, and the silver fruits hung down from them. Instead of the normal fruits which we used to eat, there were silver fruits. And underneath, under the tree, it stood the little boy he had loved. So he was missing the boy. The boy was there now. The little boy who had once kissed him was standing there under the tree. Downstairs ran the giant in great joy. So he was very happy. He was very excited to see the boy again. So he ran out into the garden. He hastened across the grass. He quickly ran across the grass and went to watch the child. But when he came quite close, his face grew red with anger. His face turned into angry face. And he said, who has dared to wound you? Who is brave enough to hurt you? So who has hurt you? So for on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of 2 nails, and the prints of on the little feet. So somebody has hit the boy with nails. On the palms, on the feet of the boy. So there were marks of wound. So who has dared to wound you? Tell me that I may take my big sword, I will kill him. No, answered the child. But these are wounds of love. These are marks of love. I am not wounded by any nails. I am not hurt. These wounds are nothing but marks of love. They are the symbol of love. So listening the words of the boy, the giant was shocked. He was confused. So, who are you? Said the giant. And a strange awe fell on him. He felt something very strange. Then he knelt down before the child. He put his knees on the ground, and the child smiled on the giant and said to him, "You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise, heaven, where gods live." And later on, when the other children ran in that afternoon, they found the giant lying dead under the tree, all covered with white blossoms, white flowers. So he was gone. He left the earth for heaven. The God himself, taking the form of a child, came to the garden, changed the selfish giant into a sweet person, children-loving person, and then he himself came again and took the good old giant to live with him in the heaven, in the paradise. So that's the end of the story. I hope you like it.